Spotlight.
This is Akashvani. In the program Spotlight, we bring you a special series, 2025, the Year of Reforms. Today's discussion is on India's regulatory revolution for ease of doing business. The participants are A.K. Bhattacharya, Economic Analyst, and Vaibhav J. Srivastava, Anchor.
In the early 2010s, doing business in India felt like a hurdle race where the hurdles were raised mid-sprint. Do you know India once ranked an abysmal 184 out of 190 countries just to get a construction permit? Do you know it took 186 days, over 6 months of bureaucratic purgatory, not to build anything, not to create jobs, but merely to get permission? Undoing that damage did not happen overnight. It took 11 years of sustained, often unglamorous reforms to dismantle what had been layered over generations. That's why 2025 stands apart. This year, India moved from easing business to freeing business. If 1991 was the year of liberalization, then 2025 is the year of deregulation. If 1991 gave India its animal spirits, 2025 has finally given those spirits a cage-free environment. For today's topic of India's regulatory revolution, how 2025 made ease of doing business a habit and the revolution of sorts in this field, we are joined in by a very, very special guest. We have with us in the studios of Akashvani, Senior Economic Analyst Sri A.K. Bhattacharya Ji. Sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Before we start this insightful discussion, let's hear the words of Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
हमारे रिफॉर्म्स केवल टैक्स प्रणाली तक सीमित नहीं है. हमने ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस पर बल दिया है. बिजनेस के लिए सिंगल डिजिटल विंडो अप्रूवल की व्यवस्था की है. हमने 45,000 कंप्लायंसेस रेशनलाइज किए हैं.
Bhattacharya sir, although it's a topic of mammoth size, what would you say? How would you start about telling about this revolution of ease of doing business in India, especially for the year 2025?
In the year 2025, we did see a lot of initiatives part of the government to simplify rules and regulations and laws and taxation norms. Just to sort of start this discussion, I would place on top of this list of changes that were brought about to improve ease of doing business would be massive rationalization of the goods and services tax that was done from September 2022, this year. Why did it happen? Because goods and services tax was supposed to be good and simple tax according to India's Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi. Whatever be the reasons, states were not agreeable or the center was little slow in reacting. Is now in September that we saw that the number of slabs were reduced to 3, and there was only one non-merit slab of 40%. Most of the tax rates came into one standard rate of 18%, and the few essential and priority sector items came under 5%. So in one stroke, the GST Council, which is a body that has representatives from both the states and the center, they agreed to rationalize the GST and in the process also bring down the tax incidence, and hopefully this will result in greater buoyancy of tax collection and economic growth will get fresh momentum. Another major initiative that was taken was on the labor policy front. In 2020, the government had passed 4 labor codes by subsuming in them 29 different labor laws. Now, this year, just about few weeks ago, those parliament-passed laws were notified, which means they are now taking effect. Many simplifications, many rationalizations also benefits the working class in many ways. For example, the gig workers now are entitled to getting employees' provident fund if they have worked for more than 1 year. If your total package is 100, then at least 50 of that 100 package will have to be your basic pay and allowances so that your share of the provident fund and the gratuity go up. So I think there are quite a few initiatives that the government took in 2025, and I can go on, but I'll stop there so that, I've got 5 more such items which I can talk about, but let's hear from you if you have any specific questions, issues where I need to focus on.
Sir, ease of doing business would mean that businesses would function more smoothly, they would give out more employment opportunities, they would earn more revenues and hence pay more taxes. How do you think the idea of Make in India has been given a huge push through giving ease of doing business to the entrepreneurs, especially to the young ones, especially to the unicorns, especially to the businesses which are starting out now or in the past decade?
It's a very good question that you have asked. It's a very fundamental question. I mean, for many years has this philosophy where we always consider in economic and business fairs that small is beautiful. But small may be beautiful, but big in business terms is also necessary.
Absolutely.
So what has happened from April this year, 2025, is that the definition of the micro units, definition of small units, and the definition of medium units have been expanded, relaxed, so that no longer do you need to pay a price by denying yourself the benefits that you enjoyed by growing.
True.
So earlier, if you are a micro unit and if you had a turnover of, let us say, 5 crore per year, the moment you cross that 5 crore, you will be classified as a small unit, and therefore, as a micro unit, you do not no longer get those benefits. So now the government has said that 5 crore becomes 10 crore. Something similar has happened with the case of the investment norms for micro units. It has gone up from 1 crore to 2.5 crore. And similarly, for small units and the medium units, those turnover limits and investment norms have been raised from 50 crore to 100 crore for turnover for small units, and for medium units from 250 crore to 500 crore for turnover. Now, this is a huge increase. As a result, there is no punishment of sorts if I start grow and cross those limits. I continue to enjoy the benefit. In other words, small remains beautiful, but big does not become ugly. So I think that is a big change that has happened, and that those changes were brought about in April 2025. And I think that's the spirit in which the ease of doing business is being looked at in this current year particularly. Something similar has happened with the income tax code, which directly impacts people. The income tax code has been simplified. This is a law that was framed in 1961, and there have been many developments on the income tax front. Forget about the fact that there have been relaxations in the income tax rates from April this year, in a sense that people who earn up to 12 lakh rupees per year effectively don't have to pay any taxes. That was a big decision that was taken in 2025. Now, it was also a kind of ease of living business. So therefore, the idea is to make people use their savings to spend or invest, which clearly helps the economy to grow. And as you would know, that in the first half of the current financial year, which is 2025-26, the Indian economy has grown by around 8%.
Absolutely. So how important have these reforms been when we talk about the micro, the small and the medium enterprises, which truly are the backbone of the big industries? How important have these reforms been in terms of promoting export when we are talking about lowering our dependency on imports, on making in India and making for the world? How do you see these reforms? Please explain in detail to our listeners.
The MSME sector, they account not just good share, almost around 45 or 50% of India's total exports. They also account for about 45% of India's GDP. Many of these MSME segment units are unorganized sector. So what happens is that the working classes, they don't always get the benefit of being in the formal sector. So if the MSME sector gets the benefits of growing without any loss of the benefits that they were getting it in the earlier definition, I would imagine that this essentially means that they will grow, and if they grow, then they can contribute more effectively and more and enhance their contribution to exports, to economic growth, as well as create more jobs. Now, 90% of India's workforce is in the informal sector. So it's very important that the medium enterprises, the small enterprises, and particularly those who are in the organized sector also grow. And I think what these reforms, whether it is the GST reform or whether it is the labor law changes that have been notified, or whether it is the MSME definition or the income tax amendment law, they essentially help the economy negotiate the challenges and exploit the opportunities to a larger benefit of economic growth.
So India has signed a great number of FTAs, especially with Oman, UK, New Zealand and many more countries. These are not multilateral but unilateral or bilateral agreements rather. It focuses on the fact that India is dealing directly with these countries and dealing them with the single thought of expanding their businesses into the whole wide world. How do you think these reforms have impacted India's business throughout the globe, and how have these FTAs helped the business houses?
The free trade agreements are very necessary in today's global environment, particularly because at one level, the World Trading Organization, which should have championed the cause of multilateral trade arrangements, is gone a little quiet and become not effective. On the other hand, you have the United States of America, which has gone and indulged in levying reciprocal tariffs almost unilaterally. So tariffs on India has been affected very badly because of the US tariff, which has been imposed first 25% and then raise it to another 25%. The total tariff on Indian exports to the US is now 50%. Now, India is negotiating with the US for a free trade agreement, but so far the deal has not happened. But in the meanwhile, what India has done very correctly is expedited its negotiations with other countries, and as you rightly pointed out, we have got deals with Oman, we have deals with New Zealand, and we have deal with UK. These may be small markets, small countries, but I think this is a very good beginning, and the benefits of this to India's trade, both two-way trade with these three countries, will actually benefit. The necessary safeguards have also been introduced, as I understand, wherein some of the agricultural sectors, the dairy sector, should not feel threatened by such opening up of trade. Now, another big thing that has happened on trade, the big push to the setting up of global capability centers in India. Now, India has already done very well on becoming a hub of global capability centers, which essentially means that world's large corporations get their back office work done in India, which means it allows them to use the kind of manpower talent which are available, which can speak in English and can very good with the STEMs category, which is science, technology, management, medicine and services. So both on the trade side, with the few free trade agreements that have been signed, and probably we may see some more agreements to be signed, maybe with the European Union in 2026 and some other countries. So I think the free trade agreement is a good sign. But as I said, helping this environment has been the rise of global capability centers. More importantly, in the manner in which the Indian government has in this year has done away with many quality control orders which had come in the way of growth and necessary imports of largely the MSME sectors, particularly the raw material intermediates. Many quality control orders had become protectionist instrument at the behest of some of the Indian industries which wanted to take advantage of those QCOs, as they are called.
True.
So more than 200 such QCOs have been cancelled. There are another 500 left, but that process is going on. And this is part of a deregulation commission that was set up this year itself, and that has gone into it, and the QCOs are being reviewed, and many of them are being scrapped. So which are also helped the India's trade environment and the MSME sector.
So we truly hope that India's trade environment becomes more and more healthy. It proves to be beneficial for everyone doing business in India or with India, and India continues its rise in the global rankings and in the global order. We're thankful to you. We're grateful that you joined us with your insightful points on this important discussion. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Under the special series 2025, the Year of Reforms, you were listening to a discussion on India's regulatory revolution for ease of doing business. The participants were A.K. Bhattacharya, Economic Analyst, and Vaibhav J. Srivastava, Anchor. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani.
Spotlight.